Yeah, I think the mobile equation is a very important one. If you look today, 1 out of 3 bookings is already done on mobile, and if you look at the search component, it's a lot higher even. So we think that mobile will surpass desktop bookings very soon, and you see in some geographies and some instances, in the 48-hour window of reservations, for example, we already have in some countries over 50% being transacted on mobile. So that's huge, right? And that is not stopping. And at the same time, what you see is the need to take away friction, to give more content, to give richer content, to give more, stability and information on to the customer. So you need to have more content on a smaller screen, right? That's the equation. So we are investing heavily in the teams that we are having on mobile. And there is no more company, I think, that has a mobile strategy next to a normal strategy. It's either you're mobile or you don't have a strategy, and that's the way we look at mobile. So we're launching booking messages, which is really kind of a chat functionality, which we already have now for 150,000 partners rolled out, where basically both guest and accommodation partner can communicate directly with each other on the most common templated things in 42 languages. So, I want to arrive at 2 o'clock, is that okay? Do we have a parking, facility at your place? And the property can reply to the Chinese guest in a templated way right away in his language. So, everything that's mobile, that's taking away friction and, let's say, stress from travel, and that you can do in a tech way to innovate on there, is key. Then if you look at what else is going on in terms of enriching the experience, we're also looking, and we'll talk about it a little bit later also, on how people they want to be inspired also in a different way. So content has always been important for us. Reviews are even more important. If you look now, we have 87 million verified reviews. And what's important to realize, reviews are not new, but it leads to transaction now. And in the past decade, reviews were kind of, do I trust them? Is it really as important? Today, if you look at studies that we've done, it's the third criteria to choose an accommodation. So the first is price and location, and the third will be what do other people say about this environment. And that comes before what friends and family say. So friends and family can say, well, that's a great place to stay. You will trust first the 95 reviews you've read from unknown people to you, and that's what you will base your decision on. Yeah, so I think it is important. It's very important that, of course, in the main core, you stay focused on making that transaction frictionless, right? That's, conversion is for us the key word. From looker to booker, how do you ensure that is done? But we know there are different phases: the discovery phase, the exploration phase, the dream phase. So in every step of that customer journey, you need to be present, but you need to also ensure that you don't get distracted too much, and that you do get the focus on the transactional piece as good as it gets. We're also experimenting on a small scale with some other stuff, and the needs you have 48 hours before departure are completely different than the one when you book your stay 2 weeks ahead or maybe 5 months ahead if it's a big holiday. You come closer to the date of arrival, you have different needs, you have different queries, and mobile exchange on that is key. Of course, it's a big step into acquiring customers in a different way. Also, we recognize that TripAdvisor brings us a type of customers that is loyal to TripAdvisor and wants to discover Booking maybe afterwards. So we think it's a possibility to acquire loyal customers in the future. We look at it, we will evaluate it. We're at the early stages of the whole, let's say, partnership, but for so far, it will help us, and it will help us especially in markets where we're trying to really penetrate harder. For example, in the United States, it will probably have a different effect in other markets, but we're looking at that and we're happy to test that with TripAdvisor. Well, I think, do hotels have a case to say that they want direct customers? Of course. I mean, Booking.com works for direct customers. We have paid traffic, we have free traffic, we have the same equation in a sense. So is it okay for hotels to want to have, direct traffic? That's quite okay. There are, however, ways that you work in a partnership, and for us it's always been kind of important that, if we have a model that's based on acquiring customers, that we give them the best prices that we can get. To ensure that customer thinks that Booking.com is a great way to explore, travel, and book and discover a destination. So we will always fight to demonstrate to our customers what the best prices are that we have in our store. And to be in all honesty, if you look at all the major chains and they're all partners of us, right? Everybody's working with us. So, of course, sometimes there's some commercial debates on what can and what cannot be done. We try to come to terms with that. We don't think we're competing with hotel chains at all, to be honest. We're competing with other, big operators in this room today, and probably with, other players on the digital space that have a similar size. And I think, hotels compete with hotels, and hotel brands compete with hotel brands. They fight for direct, that's fine. We just want to make sure that we have, we reach the 1 million accommodation soon, and that we achieve that target, which is something else, I think, in terms of targets than hotel chains might have. We're pretty big. We have 21 million rooms, I think, now on our website, and I think by far and large we're the largest in terms of deep supply and the breadth of supply. We have 33 types of accommodations, including apartments, vacation rentals, etc. So we are in that space already, and we think there's a lot to do. There's of course a lot of changes going on in that space. If you look at Spain, you know best. If you what's happening in Barcelona, there's some countries that start refining, let's say, the context of peer-to-peer rentals a bit more. We will of course always follow what is the legislation that's being applied, and I think we've done that in Spain too. So we see that there are some, the customer need is there, and slowly our economy is adjusting to that. Will that need go away? No. Is there a huge drive, a customer need for this city center? Will it be regulated in some shape or way? In some cases it will. And then we just have to all have a level play field and comply with that. If I look at the latest studies that I've read, I think it's about 30-35% only that's online in hotels and in accommodation space, which leaves like 60% to other channels, which are very often more traditional channels also. So that always makes us feel joyful and grateful, because there's a huge, I think, especially if you compare to air, for example, and travel in general, we are less digital in, let's say, distribution as an industry in hotels than we are in other industries. So there's a lot of space to win, I think, in there. So we're very positive about that. It's a fragmented industry in the sense that we are not a brand-dominated industry in Europe. So there's a lot of space, a lot of need for aggregators such as ourselves to bring transparency to a market, to make the market readable. So, having said that, I think that there's internet penetration is not stopped yet, right? If you look at Russia, if you look at the Middle East, if you look at Africa, there's still huge pockets of internet penetration, even in Europe. The shift to digital has not stopped, and it will continue. The shift to mobile has not stopped, and it will continue. And we're playing on all those fronts. So we're quite positive.